Thanks everyone for being here. We'll get started with an opening statement from Coach, then go into questions. After Coach, we'll have four players. We'll have Preston Stone, Komolafe, Hayden Eligon, and Anto Saka joining us. Get started with an opening statement and go into questions. Coach?
Challenged our football team earlier this week. When you got a team on the ropes, you got to learn how to put them away. And throughout the course of the second quarter, and then especially coming out at halftime, and then all the way through the fourth quarter, was proud of the way that our guys learned a valuable lesson today. I think what we can see this football team is the best football team I've ever been around in terms of like how intentional they are in their preparation. But then we have to carry that over into game day. We need to communicate at an exceptional level that leads to execution. Evaluating the film, I'm sure we're going to find plenty of things that we need to work on. But proud of the way this team finished. Proud of the way that we executed on offense today for the most part. And then, I think one thing that all of us within the program have to understand is we still have a lot of needed improvement. The thing that got us, to a point where we feel like we're trending in the right direction is just really intentional preparation and hard work throughout the course of the week. Comfort is our enemy. We're allowed to enjoy a win tonight into tomorrow morning, and then it's back to work, tomorrow night for our guys in their preparation, and we got to go get better on Monday.
Jake?
Coach, obviously, Preston's day through the air sort of speaks for itself, but what do you make of his ability to both extend plays and also make an impact just in the running game as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're seeing a young man that's starting to find his rhythm, right? Like, truly understands the most valuable statistic any quarterback has is his win-loss record. And, when things were there in the passing game today, he took them. When things weren't there, he used his feet to, be efficient or extend plays. You can start to see some of the comfort level with him, with throughout the entire wide receiver room. And I think he proved today that, he can be utilized as an asset in designed run game. So, I'm proud of his continued development. He should be proud of himself, and he just needs to continue to understand that he's a winner, but he's got a lot of really good support around him.
Matt?
Coach, I think one of the things that has defined your team in a lot of different games has been their resilience. In this game, ULM opened with a pretty big shot on the first drive. You then answered with 42 unanswered points. What was the dynamic like after that first drive, and how do you feel your team was able to respond?
Yeah, ultimately I think there was a level of frustration on the defense side of the ball, not the way that we wanted to start. Unfazed on the offense side of the ball. A great response out of our offense. I think we actually got ourselves to like a 3rd and 14 or something like that in the first 3 plays, and just, next play, take a breath, next play and execute. And I think it's a reflection, Matt, of incredible leadership from within with this football team. Especially those captains and those veteran leaders on this football team. There's just a level of, you use the word resiliency that needs to continue to show up for this team.
Charlie?
Coach, big game for both Drew Wagner and Hayden Eligon. What did you make of just their 2 performances?
It's what we see out of them every day in practice. I'm excited for both those guys. I don't want to understate how awesome it is to see those guys showing up, but seeing Hayden, make the plays that he did today and show up, it's not a surprise. Seeing Drew step up. I think Ricky had 1 catch today, but it was a big-time catch. I see Frank Covey out there blocking his butt off. Chase Farrell's getting in there mixing it up. I mean, we were, pretty close to getting, Chase in an explosive situation in the past game, but specifically Hayden and Drew. That's what we see out of those guys every day in practice. But that's the next step, right? It's one thing to do it in practice. That's the starting point, but then it needs to show up on game day. And can't wait to see that entire room continue to elevate.
Audrey?
Coach, it seems like Preston was kind of spreading the wealth in terms of who he was targeting. Is that something that you guys have been talking about, or, it just seems like it's mostly been Griffin in the games leading up to this? Yeah,
there's a lot of factors in that, but I think, Coach Lujan, Preston, myself, our entire staff would love to see, the ball spread around to our backs, tight ends, wide receivers. I think we talked about it on Monday. Ultimately, Griffin has been the most consistent participant in practice dating all the way back to spring. Some of those other guys have been in and out. Drew missed some time in fall camp. Hayden's missed some time. And I think what we're starting to see is, like, as those guys have come back and started to create a certain level of, like, rhythm and timing with Preston, there's just a comfort level that continues to rise. And, again, just excited to see that continue.
Coach, freshman Deshaun Reeder with a big game today, 79 yards, leads the whole team in rushing yards. What did you like about his performance today?
I loved what I saw out of him in the run game, and also just loved what we saw out of him on special teams. Like, when you talk about being a developmental program, it's being a program that holistically, the entire coaching staff, scouting, personnel, recruiting, everybody understands, like, different guys blossom at different times. He wasn't a young man coming out of spring that we were saying, like, oh, we're going to count on him next fall. You know what? His number's been called with Cam going down. The way that he's responded, the way that Coach Thompson has gotten him ready, the way that Cam Porter and others in that room have supported him in that, for him to lead us in rushing today is pretty cool to see, but also love the fact he's running out on kickoff and making plays for us. Excited for him to continue to grow within this offense.
Coach, I don't know if this is necessarily something you pay attention to, but this was your 30th game as head coach. You're at 15-15 mark at Northwestern since 1950. That ties you with Pat Fitzgerald and Randy Walker for the best mark in program history. What does it mean for you to be in that company, and how do you assess the state of your program right now?
Yeah, I don't know, Matt. It's hard for me to talk on that from a standpoint of cliche, right? Like, next game. But to be in the company of those two, like, you kidding me? And those are guys that I've admired for a long, long time. Some of the best coaches to coach here and coach across the country. So I'm going to show up tomorrow morning, get back to work, and continue to work my tail off to position this team for continued success. And it's a work in progress. Like the turbulent time in college football, we got to continue working, continue to identify where we need to get better. But I am excited, Matt, about the direction we're trending.
Yeah, back here.
Yeah, Coach, the defense held ULM to just 87 rushing yards today. ULM didn't score after that opening drive. You had Anto Saka, Hayden Hubbard with sacks, 7 tackles for a loss overall. What went right for the defense today?
Yeah, the first series didn't go right, but we're proud of the way that Coach McGargle settled in, our team settled in, and I think what you saw today is ultimately ULM is a team that if they're in a one-score game or they have the lead, they're really in their comfort zone. And I'm not saying we didn't defend the run well today, but what I am saying is as we started to really separate, 2-score lead, 3-score lead, that makes a team like ULM really uncomfortable and gets them out of their rhythm. And, talking about complementary football, when we got a team on their heels and we can start to extend that lead, especially coming out of half, that helps the defense. And, guys like Anto Saka and Hayden Hubbard and Michael Kilbane and Carmine Bastone, and the list just goes on and on. That is a D lineman's dream, to be out on the field up multiple scores, turning a team one-dimensional and be able to pin your ears back and go. These takeaways need to start showing up more. I hope they start showing up in bunches, but that's when you really start, being able to impact the quarterback and take the ball away is when you can start to, enter the fourth quarter up 2 scores.
Charlie?
Coach, now Preston Stone has 2 games under his belt after the bye. How would you assess the biggest difference in his play between games before the bye and after the bye? I really think it comes down to him not pressing and feeling like he has to make the exceptional play, every play. He doesn't have to week in and week out be the reason that we win. There will be weeks that he is, but he doesn't have to be the reason every week. He just needs to play winning football. And ultimately, that dude is a winner. He's competitive, he's team-oriented, the guys love him. You see it in the run game, how much he loves playing this game. He just needs to continue to show up as the best version of himself, but really proud of the way that he's responded. And again, I think
it was a good exercise for our entire program to go through over the bye of like really defining like who are we? Going back to Coach Barnett, like this is what Coach Barnett used to do. Who are we? Where are we going? How are we going to get there? And we went through that exercise as an entire program and defined it for our football team. But when you ask like who our offense, who are we? In those bullet points, one of those bullet points is we got a winner at quarterback, and he's playing winning football right now.
Time for a couple more. Jake?
Coach, another 2 scores on the ground for Caleb today. I mean, how would you just assess where his confidence level is at as he continues to stack games as a feature back in this offense?
Yeah, it's fun to see his confidence show up, obviously in the run game, but also in protection. And just the leadership role that he's starting to embrace along with Cam in that room. It was really fun to see him, break out on that most explosive run he had on the day. Like I continue to think that's something that, he was really close on another one too. Just kicking out of those tackles at the third level. But I excited about his growth, excited about the continued growth of that entire room, and he's someone that we're gonna have to continue to lean on throughout the season.
Sam?
No sacks today, and the O-line just continues to be a strength for this football team. So what makes them so successful, if you could speak to why that group has gelled so well this season?
Yeah, I think if Caleb Tiernan and, Jackson Carcello and, Evan Bernstein were sitting in the room right now, like, I don't know if they would tell you that in spring ball they were necessarily gelled. There was a lot of new faces in that room. I give that entire room, specifically Caleb Tiernan, a lot of credit for, being intentional about O-line dinners and going out and playing paintball on the weekends and, just finding ways to, create that level of continuity. There's a lot of guys in that room right now that are good enough to play in the Big Ten and help us win games that aren't playing right now. And continuing to keep them engaged and, if your number's called, you better be ready. But, I give CT a lot of credit. I give Jackson Carcel a lot of credit. I give all the guys in that room a lot of credit, just continuing to put their head down and go to work. And Bill O'Boyle and Ryan Olson, show me another guy at this level of college football that would be able to say, you know what, we're going to go to an NFL model and essentially bring in an assistant O-line coach to work alongside you. Egos would get in the way. Those dudes have checked their ego at the door and say, you know what, this is awesome. What a collaborative opportunity for us to go work together. And I think it starts with those two. What a lesson for our young people to see, 2 dudes just checking their ego at the door, going to work, and putting the program's best interest ahead of their own.
Last one, Matt.
Coach, you mentioned after Western Illinois that, Northwestern in the past has lost some of these, non-Power 4, non-conference home games. They were 6-5 in those from 2016 to 22, 6-0 under your tenure. What's changed about the program's mentality and execution to deliver on these games for 3 years running?
I don't think anything has changed. It's ultimately, it's probably, ultimately something that I get super hyper, fired up about because of my background. I just understand, my time at the FCS level, the quality opponents that you can see. And do we have a lot to improve on? Absolutely. But, coming in this game, the job that Coach Vincent has done in that program, we had to show up at our best today. And I can only speak to, the way I handle these weeks, but, at the front end of the week, I think I've been really intentional about setting the tone that, we better be at our stinking best and respect our opponent. And to our guys' credit, in terms of the way that they prepared, our team certainly did that this week.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, everyone.
Anto Saka on your right, Caleb Komolafe. We'll go right into questions for Anto and Caleb. Make sure you direct your question to whoever you're asking it to. Jake.
Anto, another sack for you, and a few other guys got on that stat count as well. What do you make of just the entire pass rush's ability to disrupt the quarterback today?
Yeah, we're a very deep room. We take pride in that we got a lot of guys that can go. And, there's a lot of chatter about stats and stuff, but, the guys, we're not focused on that. We focus on doing our jobs, and we know that if we keep on executing, they're going to come, and they showed up today.
And so ULM obviously got on the board early and quick on that first drive. What were you guys trying to do after that to get back on track as a defense?
Not much. We knew the game plan. They had a nice start to the game. Kudos to them. But we know what we had to do. We were calm, composed, just a resetting breath, and we went back and executed the plan.
Caleb, another good game for you, also a big game for Deshaun Reeder. Just what did you see from his performance today?
Deshaun has been a really hard worker. He's made great strides from fall camp. You know, he's going to be a really good dude, and we're all proud of him. And that just goes to what Coach AT preaches about us stepping up. Everybody has to step up on their own role. So I feel like Deshaun's doing a great job of that.
Back here.
And also for Caleb, with the running backs, right, you know, you had Deshaun now contributing a lot after Cam going down. Overall, as a running back room, how do you guys kind of respond to that Cam Porter injury? And, you know, you guys had 246 yards today, so clearly you've been a big contributor to this team.
I feel like that was extra motivation, you know. That was our brother going down. Even though he's not with us on the field, he's still with us in every other aspect. So, you know, he motivates us, and ultimately we dedicated this season to him. So we're going out there and dominating every time. It's for him.
Charlie.
Caleb, you broke away for a 39-yard touchdown, the longest run of your career. Firstly, what did you see on that play, and secondly, how did it feel just to break that off?
I saw my read keys, what Coach AT's been talking about all week. We drilled this in practice, and you know it was a good feeling. I'm glad I made the most of the opportunity. I left some out there earlier in the first half, so I wanted to make up for that.
Jake.
Anto, Aiden Hubbard moved up the career sack leaderboard today with another half sack. I mean, just what's it like getting to work alongside a pass rusher like him, and how have you seen him develop just the years that you've been on the team together?
Hubs is a dog, and he honestly probably doesn't get enough praise, but the way that he approaches every single day is just like clockwork. He's so regimented. He puts in all the work, all the film study in. So having him on the other side of me going after, I mean, like, there's not much more I can ask for.
Caleb, big day on the ground for Preston. What do you see from him just in both the design quarterback run game, just his ability to extend plays today as a passer?
Preston's a dog. We've been saying this, so I feel like the world is just getting to see it week by week that he's truly that dog that we say he is. So, I mean, we've seen it in fall camp and spring ball. It's just coming to light now.
Anthony, you talked before the season about becoming more of a leader on the defense. What are some of these games like? Later in the games when second string guys get in, you can kind of become a coach or a teacher on the sidelines. And what is also the excitement level? Seeing guys get first tackles or first sacks or half sacks.
Oh no, it means the world because you see them first come in, they don't know their right from left yet. So you just see all the work that they put in out on the practice field just come to fruition. So seeing guys make their first plays is truly a beautiful thing, and it's our role as the older guys in the room to, stay on them about their keys and things that they could possibly improve on. But it's like a proud father moment just seeing them guys get out there.
Caleb, I know we had a chance to talk right after Cam went down, but what's it been like to play these past few weeks with some of that, added responsibility, added pressure? Is that something that's affecting you at all? I mean, obviously you've played really well with it, but.
I would say it's just the preparation I've put into it. I'd say preparing like I'm ready to play out there at any moment is ultimately has me successful in this situation. So honestly, I'm not really fazed by it. I'm just making the most of my opportunity.
Jake.
Anto, Coach talked about how during the bye, the team had discussions about who are we and sort of just what the identity of pretty much every unit on the squad is. He touched on the offense starting with having a winner at quarterback. How would you sort of just define what the identity is of this defense so far?
Definitely bend don't break. You're not going to put up a lot of points, or at least not without a fight. And we're finishers. We're going to go out, we're going to try to finish games. And I think y'all seen that the last two games especially, but that's been the mindset since winter going all the way till now. We're going to finish. We're going to force turnovers, and I don't think we got any today, but we getting after it. We're going to finish you. We're going to be physical. That's really what we've been preaching since the winter.
Two straight wins for you guys. How does that momentum help you guys as you go into the rest of your schedule? Next week, big game in State College. So just tell me how these past 2 weeks, what does that mean for you guys?
I mean, yeah, we're seeing us grow as a team, on the offense and on the defense, and it's great to see. But you got to treat every week the same. The same level of preparation that we took into this week against Louisiana Monroe, we're going to do with Penn State. So, just continue to grow as a team, make sure that we all have the same agenda on mind, just to keep growing, and then we'll see where that takes us.
Anything else for these guys? Awesome. Thanks, guys. On your left, Preston Stone. On your right, Hayden Eligon. We'll go right into questions for the two. Please make sure to direct your question to either Hayden or Preston. We got one microphone. Jake?
Preston, you mentioned last week that when you see the purple number 8 jersey, sometimes think of yourself as Lamar Jackson. When you broke off that 30-yard run today, first, how did you see that develop, and what was going through your mind during that play?
Yeah, I mean, it was a great call by Coach Lujan. I think we were second and long. I had a play call where I could either throw it quick or get downhill. So, saw a lane. O-line did a great job blocking it up, and just did what I could.
Audrey?
For either of you, what was working for you guys in that first half connection? And I know you targeted Hayden more than anybody else in that first half.
Yeah, I mean, I think, we had a lot of play calls scripted to get Hayden the ball this week. Dude's been working his butt off all year. I think each week of practice and each game, our connection's just gotten better and better, and it came into fruition today.
Anna?
Preston, Griffin has really been your go-to guy through the first few games of the season, and now you really spread the wealth today. What about this game presented the opportunity to do that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we knew on film that they were going to show a double team on Griffin, and so they bracketed him quite a bit, which was honestly awesome because that's just a guaranteed opportunity to get guys like Hayden or Drew or Ricky the ball, and those guys definitely stepped up to the plate today.
Preston, you had four. There were 4 plays for 3rd and long, and on each play you either converted or I think on one you were a yard short to Drew. But as an experienced quarterback, what is it like to be going into those high leverage situations where again this is potential drive killing situation and be able to execute in all 4 of them in a game like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it starts with Coach Lujan. We had a great game plan for 3rd downs this week. It starts with Coach Lujan, and then it's big guys up front. If they don't bring pressure, I've got just about all day to throw the ball. So it starts with those guys, and then receivers came up big today making plays. So when they get that kind of separation and I have that kind of time, it makes my job pretty easy.
Hayden, you mentioned at the end of last year how the returning group of receivers is kind of embracing, kind of being doubted and unproven as motivation. How do you think that guys like you and Drew Wagner really showed that today?
Yeah, like you said, going after the season last year, we knew coming into this season we were a young group of receivers, unproven, as they say. So the offseason, we really, as a group, came together, put in the work, and, young guys like me, Drew, Frank, whoever it is, really stepped up today, and that shows.
And Hayden, you had a career high today, 80 yards. What does that kind of game mean for you? And moving forward, how do you want to keep on that momentum?
Feels great, but I'm not one to look into the whole stats thing. I'm just gonna go out there and do what I need to do to help my team win. So that's what I did today.
Audrey?
Hayden, Coach said that he was proud but not surprised by your performance. I know you had your first career start against UCLA last week. Just what kinds of things have you been working on to get to this point?
Just going into the off season, I knew I wanted to work on just routes for me, size for me, just winning those one-on-one matchups because especially as a big receiver, that's what I need to do. And when Preston gives me the opportunity for a 50-50 ball, I just know I have to have the right mindset that when the ball's in the air, it's mine.
Charlie?
Preston, Coach Braun mentioned that he feels like that you've really found your rhythm these last 2 weeks. Do you feel like that's been the case for you?
Definitely, yeah. I think we've been able to play really complimentary football these past 2 weeks. We've done a great job establishing the run game the first 4 games, and defenses have to honor that. They've got to put extra guys in the box And so when we're running the ball like that, it really opens up some lanes down the field. I think we've done a great job of capitalizing on those.
Preston, Coach Braun in his press conference talked about how you no longer struggle with the pressure of feeling like you have to be the reason why the team wins every week, and how that's kind of like is something that's progressed for you these last few weeks. Can you talk about that from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, this is a team game. I've never felt like, I've got the entirety of the game on my shoulders to go win. And so, like I said, it definitely makes my job a whole lot easier when there's 10 other guys on the field who are playing their butt off and making my job easy.
Hayden, how would you say your relationship with Preston has developed since he's arrived here?
It started off when he first got here in the spring. This building connection in the off season, translating from summer ball to fall camp to now even in the season, game by game, little catches, big catches, whatever it is, it builds up, and you're going to continue this momentum heading into next week.
Hayden, how would you characterize the strides you've seen both out of yourself and the entire receiver room since the bye week?
Since the bye week, we knew offensively we had to execute at a higher level. We left a lot of plays out there that, we should have won. So as a receiver group, we knew heading into the following week that we wanted to come together and just really strive on doing our 1/11th. Because if we do our job, the lineman's going to do their job. Preston's always going to do his job, and that's when the offense really moves the ball.
Hayden, you had those 2 incompletes early on. You mentioned those 50-50s being so important. What changed for you from those first 2 to the next 3 to have such a career game?
I'm not going to make no excuses. I should have had those 2. I just got to come down with it regardless of what it is. Preston, trusted me throwing the ball my way. So I just had to make a play. It was a little bit frustrating not coming down with those 2. But I'm not going to let, one play or 2 plays decide the rest of the game for me. It's always the next play mentality, so that's what I had.
Those 2 weren't on Hayden. I got to give him a better ball in those scenarios, just to add on to that.
2 more, Audrey.
Preston, it seemed like you were hitting your receivers more in stride today than you were in previous games. Is there anything you attribute just that side of the performance to today?
I think just trusting the process, taking ownership of our preparation, has been big in translating into a good past 2 games for us. Once we definitely built up a ton of chemistry in spring ball and in fall camp, but once you really start to stack those game reps, that's done a lot for us, and so I think we'll be able to keep that momentum going moving forward.
Last one, Matt.
For Preston, you threw touchdowns to 3 different wide receivers. As an experienced quarterback, what's the feeling like, seeing younger players like Drew and like Hayden have career days and start to come into their own?
It's awesome. I love those guys. You look at a guy like Hayden, and he's got all the God-given talent that you could ask for in a receiver. But what makes him special is the way he practices his butt off. And I'd say the same thing for Drew and the same thing for Griffin, who all had touchdowns today. So couldn't be more proud of those guys.